This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Hello, Michaela.
Hi, Ann-Marie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So happy to have you join the VOD. We've been trying to get your attention, I was about to say, but to get into your calendar to have you here because you have such an interesting role at Spotify.
Super
talent growth lead. What does that mean?
So
what do you do?
Yeah, so talent growth lead is actually a quite new role at Spotify. So it was formed by Katarina and Johanna like 1.5 years ago. So that includes really our approach to performance development. It includes succession planning for Spotify, and it also includes internal mobility and our internal talent marketplace, Echo. So I've been with Spotify for 6 years, but I had this role for then 1.5 years.
Great, excellent. And we're focusing on succession planning today.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we will invite you back to talk about the other parts of
to.
your role because it's interesting. But on succession planning, how do you define succession planning at Spotify? What does it mean for you?
So for us, it's really looking at the roles that are business critical for our company today and in the future. So first of all, looking at the roles and then looking at the people, successors for those roles.
Right.
In a simple way.
Right.
That's what we define it as.
And if you were to describe like the process, the ways of working with succession planning, how would you describe it then?
So it has evolved over the last couple of years. So I think it was back in like 2019 where the HR BPs who really drive and own the succession plans and with their managers, they established a very solid process. You know, we don't believe in heavy processes, but a solid process to identify those critical roles and successors with clear criteria and definitions. And it was an annual process. So we did it on an annual basis. But then when I took on this role for like 1.5 years ago, we felt it was time to kind of look at what we've done and see what is really the impact of our succession planning. What is the value that we're adding to Spotify? So from that analysis, we discovered that we focus quite a lot of our time on the process and less about what happens after the process. And also like we're putting together this beautiful list of these amazing talent, but what did we actually do with it? So that was one part. And also like when we looked at critical roles, we filled them typically more with external talents than internal talents. So we didn't really use our list of successors. And then the other part that we found is that succession planning worked as a bit of an isolated process. So it was not really connected to our strategic workforce planning. How does that inform succession planning? And how does our talent snapshot feed our succession planning? So looking at this kind of holistic talent growth ecosystem, the other part that we discovered in that analysis is that it's typical of the usual suspects. So managers identified the successors and people that they know and who are closest to them. So the problem we wanted to solve is, right, how can we access a broader and more diverse talent pool and talent bench for those critical roles? And then I would say the fourth area that we discovered is that it was parts of the organization where the managers had a mindset of kind of holding on to their talent. And I think that's a very natural thing to do.
Yes.
But we really wanted to kind of spark this mindset of sharing talent so that we ensure that we have the right talent in the right place at the right time.
I mean, the way that you describe this, all of the analysis that you did, I think that there are so many companies out there, at least I recognize all of the things, you have the process in place, but then it's like, okay, do we have the process for the sake of the process? Yeah. Or what are we trying to solve for, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful how you described it. Okay, so that was the analysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what did we do?
Tell us, what's the secret here? How did you evolve from that?
Yeah. So instead of spending our time on the process, we wanted to spend more time on developing our successors, ensuring that they're ready for those critical roles when the role opens up. So to shifting our focus from process to progress. And instead of doing this annual process, we instead do it on a continuous basis. People are dynamic, Spotify is dynamic, roles are dynamic. We need a dynamic succession planning process. So it's an ongoing process. So that's one of the things that we did. Also, we wanted to build a tool or something that would enable us to access broader and more diverse talent pools beyond who you know. And we also then wanted to spark this manager mindset of sharing talent. So that's what we've been focusing on a lot.
Great. And have you seen any difference now, shifting that focus a bit, doing it more frequently? Do you see a difference of having more internal talent moving? Because you mentioned that, typically you would add external talent, but not focus on the internal ones.
Yeah. So I would say it's an ongoing process. And last year we had an exponential growth at Spotify. Yeah. So then it's quite natural to hire a lot from externally as well. But I think we're moving in the right direction. I can definitely see, a shift in the mindset of our managers. We worked very closely with them, talking about the why it's important, internal first, and really that internal mobility of talent is a key lever to grow and retain our key talents. So really helping them kind of flex their muscles in terms of discussing and sharing talents between the business units.
Beautiful. Great. And I also know, we've had Gary on a few VODs, and he's shared with us, and Johanna also shared in an earlier VOD about Echo, right? Mm-hmm. How would you describe Echo?
So Echo is our internal talent marketplace that provides, equitable access to growth opportunities. And it provides opportunities for people to engage in short-term projects, gigs, you can mention. So really the Echo is a tool for us to enable internal mobility, but also helping the employees being in the driver's seat of their development to access those opportunities. And if you're in a small region or country and you want to you have perhaps a bit limited growth opportunities, Echo is our way to kind of democratize that access and also enable them to access the network and build relationships across the world.
Exactly. Beautiful. Do you have any other tools that helps your growing your talent and succession?
Yeah, so for succession planning, we're lucky to have our amazing people analytics team, Gary and Emil. So I've been working very closely with them on building Scout that they built.
Just love the name.
Yeah, Scout. I love it, Scout too. So Scout is really a homegrown tool where you can access all talent-related data. And also it's a scouting functionality and automatic scouting of talents. So Scout is really the tool for us to expand our talent pools beyond the people that you know. So let's say you have a critical role but no successor. You can go to Scout and you can kind of enter your filter and your search criteria, and boom, you get a dynamic talent pool. And also it's a way for us to kind of like a bias buster and pressure test your successors and rising stars that you have identified to really see, are there any out there that we might be missing?
Right. And who has access then to Scout?
So it's mainly the HR business partners and now also our leadership recruitment team. And then in the long run, we might open it up for senior leaders as well.
Cool. Excellent. So you mentioned also that you're doing succession planning more regularly now.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is it like once per month, once per quarter? How regular is regular?
Yeah. So I would say it's an ongoing, because we have all our succession plans in one of our tools.
Right.
And that's our one source of truth, and it should be kind of updated on a continuous basis. But then we kind of take a closer look twice a year, where we ask the HRBPs and the managers to really validate those succession plans, but it's not starting from scratch every year.
Right.
So we have them there, they're there. So it's, up to them to update them and most importantly, have the conversations like, are you having development talks? Do they have a development plan? What's the next step? Can we engage in a project or...
Exactly. And on that topic, I know that sometimes there's like the debate, right? Should you be transparent with the employee on, are you on succession or are you not on the succession, right? Yeah. What is your take on this? How do you work with that conversation?
Yeah. So at Spotify, we believe everyone is a talent. And also, given that our world is changing so fast, changes are constant, and the roles change, the requirements of a role change. So by the time that you prepare the successor for your role, potentially, the role might have shifted. So we always say, like, everyone should have development talks. Everyone should have development plans. So, I mean, we believe in transparent communication. So if you as a manager say, like, yeah, I do see the potential in you. I would like to invest further in your growth. Let's put a plan together and ensure that you continue to grow. But there are no promises of like you taking my role or not. And also like we don't want to create in-group versus out-group because we believe everyone is a talent. So, this role might not exist when you be ready for it. So
exactly. Beautiful. And you mentioned that in-group, out-group. Sometimes you also see, there are companies out there. I also joined companies earlier where, you have these like talent programs or high potential programs to, fast track your talent. How does it look at Spotify? Do you have those?
Yeah, so I would say we have an amazing leadership development offering, like for everyone. So we have many programs, we have targeted programs for specific businesses, and we also have, coaching opportunities for our senior leaders. So I would say we have a lot. And when I started this role, like we were discussing, should we put a development program in place for our successors specifically? And we said, no, let's start from the basic and with the foundation. Do they have a development plan? Do they have good conversations? Are they leveraging the existing leadership development offering that we have? And then we might consider having an additional program in the future. But first, let's start with the basic and getting that right.
Beautiful. And also, everyone is a talent. The manager should also realize that the talent is Spotify's.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you also have that, I know, embedded in, your overall L&D agenda and performance development. So it's all very nicely tied together.
Yeah. And that's really, the key message that we're talking to our senior leaders about is like flexing their muscles in sharing talent, Spotify's talent. And we really need to ensure that matching the right person with the right problem to solve, because we also know that through research that companies who quickly reassign their key talent to key roles, they are more than 2 times likely to outperform their competitors. So that's really what sets an average company apart from a winning company. So
yeah, beautiful. Growth is your mantra.
Growth is our mantra.
And when people grow, Spotify grows.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. Take you so much, Michaela.
Thank you.
Very inspiring.
So happy to be here.
Yes, you will be so invited back. I'm just saying. we just touched a fraction of your responsibility.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so you know how we close these VODs.
I do.
Yeah, with the 3 things.
Yes.
Would you be kind enough to close it?
Sure.
Let's try.
Okay.
Stay safe. Stay strong.
And stay active.
Great. Idema dalje. Very good, Michaela.
Thank you. Vet man inte var man ska ha händerna?
Du kan ha dem.
Men händerna i fickan kanske lite för nonchalant, eller?
du kommer se. Och det är, så då vet du. Och så kan jag liksom. Jag tänkte så här, börja med att kanske fråga. Sen hade du en fråga om... och sen, vad fan var den sista frågan? Liksom min nästa fråga. Och du ser ju vad jag gör. Jag bara så här, nu sa du någonting, just det, och så tänker jag att det här ska vi... Så igen.
Ja.
Det finns liksom egentligen inga regler här. Nej.
Härligt!
Ja. Okej. Are we good? Yes. Ja, och sen avslutar vi ju.
Håret kommer.
Vi gör ingenting.
Men vadå, har ni börjat redan?
Nej. Det rullar hela tiden. Exakt. Ja. Det finns en anledning till varför du gör det du gör och varför jag inte gör det jag gör.
Jag tror det är kanske lite tjatigt ibland, men nu får vi klippa.